The Ukraine war is the most drone-intensive conflict in recorded history. Both sides have deployed over 100 distinct drone variants, and the systems developed here are now reshaping how every military on Earth thinks about air power. Today, Iron Protocol covers every drone confirmed in active use on both sides of the Russia-Ukraine war, all 22 systems, fully explained. We cover Ukrainian systems first, then Russian. The hardware is the subject, not the politics. Starting with Ukrainian FPV combat drones, the category Ukraine pioneered and still dominates. The modified 5-inch FPV racing drone is Ukraine's most produced weapon, built on commercial carbon fiber racing frames and fitted with a repurposed grenade, or RPG, warhead. Ukraine produces over 50,000 per month, and they have destroyed more Russian armored vehicles than any other single system in the war. At under $500 per unit, no weapon delivers more confirmed kills per dollar spent on any battlefield right now. Then, the Baba Yaga. Built on a modified DJI Agras T-30 agricultural octocopter, it replaces the spray system with a drop mechanism carrying up to 10 kilograms of grenades. It operates almost entirely at night using thermal cameras, loitering above Russian positions and dropping munitions across a wide area. Russian troops have described its distinctive low rotor hum as one of the most demoralizing sounds on the Eastern Front. Now, the Vampire Thermal FPV. Ukraine's thermal-equipped combat FPV carries a modified anti-tank grenade and engages targets in complete darkness, where standard optical drones are blind. It has recorded confirmed kills against Russian vehicles, artillery crews, and infantry positions throughout 2023 and 2024. The Thermal Seeker defeats every concealment technique that defeats a standard optical FPV, moving into cover, killing lights, using smoke. Next, Western-supplied loitering munitions operated by Ukraine. The Switchblade 300, supplied by the United States, weighs 2.5 kilograms, fits in a backpack, and carries a wave-off capability that lets operators abort and redirect before impact. Ukraine uses it at platoon level against exposed crew-served weapons and personnel positions up to 10 kilometers away. It is the first loitering munition ever issued as standard infantry equipment rather than a specialist asset. Up next, the Switchblade 600. The anti-armor variant carries a javelin-derived tandem warhead to 40 kilometers with 40 minutes of loiter time. It has been confirmed against Russian T-72 and T-80 tanks, self-propelled artillery, and mobile air defense launchers. Nothing else tube-launched reaches that range with that warhead in Ukrainian service. The next one, the Phoenix Ghost. Developed in 30 days by Avex Aerospace at Ukrainian request, with full specifications still classified. Confirmed against Russian self-propelled guns and command vehicles operating behind the front line. Hundreds have been supplied by the United States since 2022. Then, the Polish Warmate. WB Electronics' fixed-wing loitering munition carries interchangeable anti-tank, fragmentation, or thermobaric warheads on the same airframe. Poland supplied it to Ukraine in significant numbers alongside its own military inventory. Its 30-kilometer range and swappable warhead types make it one of the most flexible systems in Ukrainian hands. Continuing with Ukrainian strike and reconnaissance drones, the Bayraktar TB2. Turkey's medium-altitude armed drone dominated the early phase of the war, destroying Russian columns in the opening weeks with laser-guided munitions. It has a 27-hour endurance, a 150-kilogram payload across 4 hardpoints, and operates at altitudes above most man-portable air defense systems. Russia eventually adapted its air defense posture to counter it, but not before the TB2 established Ukraine's air interdiction capability in the war's critical opening phase. Now, the Leleka 100. Ukraine's domestically built fixed-wing ISR drone covers 100 kilometers of range at altitudes up to 3,000 meters, streaming real-time video to artillery targeting systems. It is the primary reconnaissance asset for Ukrainian artillery batteries, identifying and adjusting fire on Russian positions. Thousands have been produced by Ukrainian volunteer organizations and defense companies since 2022. Up next, the UJ-22 Airborne. Ukraine's medium-range strike drone carries a 20-kilogram payload to targets 800 kilometers away, putting Russian cities and logistics hubs deep behind the front line within reach. It has been used in strikes on fuel depots, ammunition stores, and railway infrastructure inside Russian territory. The UJ-22 represents Ukraine's shift from defending the front line to attacking Russian strategic depth. The next one, the AQ-400 Scythe, Ukraine's longest-range domestically developed strike drone, reaches targets over 750 kilometers away, carrying a 32-kilogram warhead. It has been confirmed in strikes on Russian oil refineries, airfields, and military infrastructure across multiple Russian regions in 2024. Ukraine produces it in significant numbers and has declined to confirm exact production figures. Moving on to Ukrainian naval drones, the category that changed the Black Sea. The Sea Baby, Ukraine's unmanned surface vessel, carries several hundred kilograms of explosives and is guided by a live video feed exactly like an aerial FPV drone. It travels at 80 kilometers per hour and has struck multiple Russian Black Sea Fleet vessels, including landing ships and patrol boats. It has also hit the Kerch Bridge twice, the only weapon system to have damaged Russia's strategic link to Crimea. Then, the Magura V5, Ukraine's more advanced naval drone, is larger than the Sea Baby, with a longer operational range and a modular payload system accommodating different warhead configurations. It is credited with sinking a Russian patrol boat and damaging a landing ship in confirmed operations. The Magura V5 forced Russia to withdraw its Black Sea Fleet from Sevastopol, a strategic victory achieved entirely by unmanned surface vessels. Now on to Russian systems, starting with FPV and loitering munitions. The Privet 82 is Russia's most common FPV combat drone, named after the PG-7 RPG warhead it carries on a commercial racing frame. It is produced in tens of thousands per month and deployed across every sector of the front. The PG-7 warhead penetrates up to 500 millimeters of armor, effective against every light and medium armored vehicle Ukraine fields. Up next, the Lancet III, Russia's most lethal drone weapon, carries an optical scene-matching seeker that locks onto targets by visual shape, GPS jam-proof by design. It has confirmed kills against HIMARS launchers, Leopard 2 tanks, Caesar howitzers, Gepard guns, and Buk air defense systems. No single drone has caused more documented damage to Western-supplied Ukrainian equipment. The next one, the KUB-BLA, Russia's earlier flying-wing loitering munition, navigates via pre-programmed GPS coordinates with no live operator guidance in the terminal phase. Its fixed-path design limits it to static targets, a weakness that became apparent immediately in combat. Russia has largely replaced it with the Lancet III, but it remains in inventory and continues to appear in operational footage. Then, Iranian origin systems operated by Russia. The Shahed 136, which Russia calls the Jiran 2. Iran's Delta Wing drone has a 3.5-meter wingspan, a 36-kilogram warhead, and navigates autonomously to GPS coordinates. Russia uses it in mass salvos of 20 or more against Ukrainian energy infrastructure, power stations, heating systems, and substations. At $20,000 per unit, it forces Ukraine to spend far more on interceptors than Russia spends on the drones themselves. Now, the Shahed 131, Russia's designation Jiran 1. The smaller sibling of the Shahed 136, it carries a lighter warhead on a narrower airframe for use against softer targets. Russia deploys it alongside the larger Jiran 2 in mixed salvos, using the smaller variant to force air defense systems to engage lower-value targets. Iran has established a production line inside Russia for both variants, ending the supply chain dependency. Finishing with Russian ISR and reconnaissance drones. The Orlan 10 is Russia's most widely used battlefield reconnaissance drone, a fixed-wing system with a 14-hour endurance covering the front line at altitudes from 1,000 to 5,000 meters. It streams real-time video to Russian artillery targeting systems and has been confirmed as the primary fire correction asset for Russian howitzer batteries. Ukraine has shot down hundreds, making it the single most frequently destroyed Russian drone type of the war by confirmed count. Then, the Zala 421, Russia's smaller tactical ISR drone from Zala Aero, the same manufacturer as the Lancet, covers shorter ranges at lower altitudes for company and battalion-level reconnaissance. It is hand-launched and recoverable, flying 90-minute missions before returning to its operator. Ukraine captures them regularly and uses the intelligence data found on recovered units to understand Russian targeting priorities. The next one, the four-post R. Russia's domestically assembled version of the Israeli IAI Searcher, produced under a pre-war license agreement, carries a heavier sensor payload for operational depth reconnaissance. It has a 17-hour endurance and covers ranges over 250 kilometers, used for surveillance of Ukrainian rear areas, logistics routes, and reserve concentrations. Russia halted new license agreements with Israel after the war began, making the four-post R dependent on stockpiled components. Subscribe to Iron Protocol for complete modern warfare system breakdowns.